Hello everyone, it's your casual gamer Meep here, and welcome back to the channel. Continuing the top 5 build series, it is the Trapper's turn. With patch 5.3.0 in 2021 last year, the Trapper's base kit got buffed to where he can carry 2 traps now, and a bunch of his add-ons either got changed altogether or buffed entirely. So I feel relatively comfortable making this video because I doubt he'll be changed more in the near future. Starting off with the first build, this would be any Trapper's delight to run, as it would allow them both time to set up in the beginning and be as aggressive as they want it to be. For this build, you will need both ultra rare add-ons, the Iridescent Stone and the Bloody Coil. The Iridescent Stone will randomly reset a disarmed bear trap every 30 seconds, whereas the Bloody Coil will punish survivors who disarm a bear trap by injuring them, if they're healthy that is. With bear traps, they're normally used to shut down loops and catch survivors, and with these add-ons you can set a trap, and with these add-ons they will take over because they'll either end up catching a survivor, they'll injure them if they're healthy as they try to disarm it, and they will even reset themselves, which is really nice. And overall, these add-ons will make your bear traps even more effective than usual, if they're in a good position that is. The perks that a Trapper would want for an easier and more fun game are Corruptor Intervention, Sloppy Butcher, Save the Best for Last, and for the 4th perk, it can be really anything that you want to run. Corruptor Intervention blocks the 3 furthest generators from your spawn point when you load into the trial for up to 120 seconds. Typically, survivors will spawn far away from you, next to generators that are blocked with Corruptor Intervention. This is the time you need to use to set up your trap so you don't have to worry about it later in the match. Sloppy Butcher, on the other hand, applies the Mangled and Hemorrhage status effect to survivors whenever you hit them with your basic attack. Mangled makes it take longer for a survivor to heal, so it acts as a passive slowdown, and because the Trapper is an M1 killer, you'll be hitting survivors normally the majority of the trial, if they don't step in your bear traps that is. Save the Best for Last is a token-based perk that gives you a 5% stackable bonus to your successful basic attack cooldown whenever you hit a survivor who's not the Obsession. You're able to earn 8 tokens for a max of 40% successful attack cooldown. Because your cooldown animation of wiping your blade is faster and ultimately saving time, it means the survivor makes less distance, which means you can catch up to them faster than you would without this perk. And for your 4th perk, you can choose to run pretty much anything. You could choose Barbecue and Chili for the extra blood points, Thrilling Tremors for generator information throughout the trial, Brutal Strength to deal with pallets, or Pop Goes the Weasel to slow the game down as a few examples I would choose from, but really the choice is yours. Moving on to the next build, it's a bit gimmicky, it's the Silent but Deadly build. What inspired this build was the Trapper's Bear Oil add-on. This allows you to set traps silently. This will help you to place traps around the map and in chases without the survivors hearing your sound notifications that they would normally hear otherwise to alert them that you are in fact setting a bear trap down. The second add-on rewards this playstyle by giving you haste, and that is the Coffee Grinds. After placing a trap, you gain a 5% haste increase to your movement speed for up to 5 seconds. The movement speed can be useful in setting traps because, if you're at a loop for instance, because the survivor might choose to leave the area, you can use that haste to catch up to them quicker than you would otherwise. It also helps you traverse the map better by letting you get to your other traps faster, and to get to generators faster after setting a trap down. The perks you'll need for this build include Trail of Torment, Dragon's Grip, Oppression, and Hex Plaything. Trail of Torment makes you undetectable after kicking a generator, and you stay undetectable until that generator is either fully regressed, or you damage a survivor with either your M1 attack or your bear trap. The generator is also revealed in yellow to all the survivors, so they know which one is affected by Trail of Torment. Dragon's Grip activates after kicking a generator, and if a survivor goes to touch it within 30 seconds after kicking it, they will scream and suffer from the exposed status effect for up to 60 seconds. This is meant to synergize with Trail of Torment, highlighting the generator to all survivors because it'll encourage them to touch the generator to deactivate Trail of Torment, but instead it will activate Dragon's Grip in return. Additionally, kicking a generator will also trigger Oppression to activate. It causes 3 other random generators to start regressing, but if a survivor is working on one of those randomly selected generators, then it will trigger a difficult skill check for them instead. If they miss the skill check, then the generator will explode like normal. But this is really meant to provide direction needed to find the survivors who are working on generators while you're undetectable with Trail of Torment. Hex Plaything is a bit of a backup stealth option if Trail of Torment is on cooldown. Each time when you hook a survivor for the first time, they will suffer from the Oblivious status effect, meaning they won't hear a tear radius, which will allow us to sneak up on them. Depending on the totem spawns and which one the hex is applied to, if it can be trapped up then you should do so. It'll act as a slowdown for them to disarm the trap and give a notification when they go for it. Because they're still oblivious, thanks to Plaything, you can still sneak up on them and attack them while they're cleansing the totem or shortly afterwards. This perk is overall like a side objective slowdown for the survivors, lest they be punished by the stealth from the oblivious status effect. With the Trapper, he is also one of the few killers who are able to take advantage of hooking survivors in the basement, specifically whenever the basement spawns inside the killer shack. With his add-ons, the Trapper Sack, he's able to start with all 8 of his traps. At the downside of when he places it on the ground, he cannot pick it back up for the rest of the trial. By starting with all your traps, you can use 3 of them at a minimum to trap all the entrances to the basement at the killer shack, making it unloopable essentially, and a death trap for any survivor who is unlucky to be downed near the basement. When carrying a survivor, you might think, I'm going to step in one of the shack traps, and the survivor is going to escape from my grasp. Normally yes, but not with the second add-on, which is the makeshift wrap. This makes it to where when you walk over an armed bear trap, it will disarm as you walk over it and you won't be caught, and with a survivor on your shoulder, you won't let go of them as a result of that. After you hook them, you can simply reset the trap you walked over and walk away from the immediate area. With this build, it will also be a good idea to use a bloody blueprint offering to increase the chance of the beastman spawning inside the killer shack, for the build to work more properly. The perks for this build include Agitation, Iron Grasp, Mad Grit, and Monstrous Shrine. Agitation is so you can move up to 18% faster with the survivor on your shoulder, allowing you to transport the survivor faster and outrun other survivors with ease. Iron Grasp is here for similar reasons, as it increases the time it takes for a survivor to wiggle out by 12%. It also reduces the survivor's side-to-side swaying by 75% whenever they go to wiggle, which will help prevent you from getting stuck on edges and corners around the map as you traverse it to get to the basement. Mad Grit is here to punish survivors for body blocking you on the way to the basement. With Mad Grit, you have no cooldown for missed attacks while carrying a survivor, and successful ones will pause their wiggle progress for up to 4 seconds. Those 4 seconds are long enough for you to recover from your attack animation, and then some by walking, allowing you to get further than you would without the successful attack. Lastly is Monstrous Shrine. This is a perk that you will see rarely anyone use because of its niche effect. It increases the rate at which survivors die, but only on the basement hooks, and punishes survivors for attempting to unhook themselves by decreasing their luck, and increasing the penalty for trying to self-unhook. This adds more pressure to the survivors outside the basement because it decreases the amount of time they have to save their teammates while they're trapped in the basement. Overall, this build can be very effective, but if the killer shack is in a far corner of the map, then it might not be as effective. But if all else fails though, you'll get to lock down the basement and the killer shack area altogether. Similar to how the trapper can take advantage of the basement, he's also able to capitalize on survivors' greed. This build is called the Jaws of Greed, which is inspired by the Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading card Pot of Greed. The trading card depicts a vessel with sinister intentions based on its smile. The pot is said to hold something of desire for whoever reaches their hand in, but at a cost when they try to extract their thing of desire from the vessel. This build functions similarly by presenting survivors with opportunities to exercise greed, and at a high risk, should they give in to temptation that is. The perks are Franklin's Demise, Hoarder, Hexana Grounds, and Make Your Choice. Franklin's Demise makes it to where survivors who are hit with the basic attacks drop their items on the ground. The longer the item is on the floor because of Franklin's, their item will be out of charges within 90 seconds. If they're greedy and try to immediately pick up their item after being attacked, they'll go down much quicker than they would otherwise. However, if they continue running, then you should place a trap immediately over the item to protect it. If and or when they come back for their item, not only will you be notified of them disarming the jaws of the trap to safely extract their item, but Hoarder will also notify you of this as well, and give away their location. Hoarder also reveals the location of survivors whenever they go to open a chest or pick up an item within 64 meters of your location, which is effectively half the size of a normal outdoor map. This perk also spawns in 2 more chests into the trial to encourage survivors to search them as well, and thus notify you as to where they are. Hexana Grounds acts in a similar way from a conceptual standpoint. It presents itself as a reward to the survivor for possibly deactivating another Hex perk like Devour Hope or Retribution for instance, and it also will reward them a chunk of blood points if they successfully do cleanse it. In reality, whenever a survivor goes to cleanse one of these 2 trapped Hex totems created by Hana Grounds, all survivors will suffer from the exposed status effect for up to 60 seconds. Make Your Choice activates whenever a survivor unhooks someone when you're more than 32 meters away from their hook. It causes them to scream and suffer from the exposed status effect for up to 60 seconds. Again, it rewards their greed in wanting to unhook their teammates, but punishes them with the exposed status effect. Now, you're probably wondering about the add-ons for this particular build. It's the Trapper Bag and the Fastening Tools. The Trapper Bag lets it start the trial with an additional trap, as it's hold another additional trap as well for a total of 3 at any given point in the trial. The Fastening Tools increase the time it takes for a survivor to free themselves from a trap and for someone else to rescue them, should they be careless in trying to retrieve their item from Franklin's Demise. This add-on also increases the speed at which we set the traps down on the ground in the first place, which will save us time whenever we trap the item in the first place while we were chasing that survivor. Overall, this build is a very give and take situation on both sides, and if the survivors are being either overly altruistic or bold in their action, this build can just outright punish them in various ways. As for the lore-based build, Evan Macmillan, the Trapper, we learn from his lore that he idolized his father growing up, even while working underneath him. As his father grew older and his mental health began declining, Evan became even more devoted to his father. As it states in the lore, no matter what his father asked of him, Evan would do. Little did he know his father would ask him to commit a dark and most heinous act. Dark Devotion grants you the undetectable status effect for 30 seconds whenever you attack the obsession. It will also cause the obsession to emit a fake 32-meter wide tear radius around themselves that can be heard by them and all the other survivors. Devoted to his father, Evan and him would carry out the worst mass murder in modern history. He would lead a crowd of over 100 men, workers, into the darkness of the tunnels, and with the control of explosives collapsing the mines, killing them inside. Hex crowd control is a perk that, while active, will block any window a survivor vaults quickly through for up to 20 seconds. It can also block more than one window at a time. Based on the Trapper's physicality, we can see he's very muscular, and he at one point did try to resist the entity when it brought him into the fog. That would be brutal strength on his part. Brutal strength allows you to kick pallets, generators, and breakable walls up to 20% faster than normal. Because he tried to resist the entity, he was punished painfully. We can see the remnants of the painful experience with various spikes sticking out from his upper body. He's endured quite a lot physically. Enduring reduces pallet stun durations by up to 50%. Dead by Daylight has come a long way, and has invited such classic horror icons to it, from movies such as Michael Myers and Freddy Krueger, to characters from other video games including Pyramid Head from Silent Hill, to the Resident Evil cast that we enjoyed to this day. But let's never forget though, it all started with Evan McMillan, the Trapper. And with that being said, we've come to the end of the video. If you enjoyed the video and want to support the channel, consider leaving a like as it helps promote the video through YouTube to other potential viewers. And consider subscribing to the channel for more content and killer builds. If you're a Trapper player, let me know what builds you use down below in the comment section. I am Equalisten3, and I will see you next time. Goodbye for now.